they're about to. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us. Tonight is Thursday, June 13th, 2024, and this is a meeting of the Chelsea Licensing Commission. A couple little housekeeping notes before we get started. If you do come before us today, we do ask that you step up to the microphone when speaking. Clearly provide your name and your reason before us this evening. If there are multiple people coming up to speak on one subject, please make sure you each step aside for the next person to speak on the microphone so we can hear you better up here, as well as anybody that is watching the video of this is able to hear the communications. So thank you in advance for that. Moving right along, this evening I am joined by my fellow commissioners, Enio Lopez, Mike McAteer, Emily Cherniak, myself, Marnie McAlpine. We have our licensing clerk, Naomi Lebron, and our assistant city solicitor, Peter Christopher. And representing from the police department this evening, we have Sergeant Chung. So thank you, everyone. And Officer McLaughlin is also in attendance. If we could start off with communications from the licensing department.
Okay, we got a late communication from the last meeting from Gladys Vega, and she wanted to report that meeting with the group, they decided to let go of the cannabis project, and they will focus on other projects. And she apologizes for any inconvenience and thanks us for her support, our support.
So Gladys Vega, who we had the license for Vida Verde over at the former Russo's Tux location. It was a communication from her stating they're no longer moving forward with that plan.
And then we have an email from Sarah Neville that was a late communication from the last meeting that we had in.
That's Sarah.
So you're going to be, okay.
We'll save it for open public time.
She can save it for when we get to that item.
Okay, okay. The ABCC advisory, we sent out notices that were sent to us by the ABCC. I sent it to all the restaurants, all the bars, and all the liquor stores. This is concerning the CBD and THC beverages and food that I included in it, I guess, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's it.
And just a basic summary of what that notice was. It is a ruling that came down by the state that any licensed establishment, whether it's a liquor store or a restaurant, they are not able to sell product that has the CBD or THC in it. The only places that are allowed to do anything of that nature are the places that have the cannabis licenses that are overseen by the Cannabis Control Commission. So if you had seen things locally, you will no longer be seeing those things locally, unless it is at one of our cannabis shops. And that was all from you, correct?
Yes.
Wonderful. Moving right along, first up on the agenda, we have a public hearing to consider an application for a rooming house license for Rayo LLC at 890 Broadway, Chelsea, Mass. If you could step up, please. Hi, how are you?
Hi. Good, how are you? Thank you.
Very well. If you could state your name and reason for being before us this evening.
My name is Robert Onesimo. I am the manager/owner for RAO LLC.
Wonderful. Thank you for coming before us today. If we could start off, if any of my fellow commissioners have any initial questions.
I did inspect 880 Broadway. It was in excellent shape. He is a good landlord. Do you own anything else besides 880 Broadway?
Not in the city of Chelsea, but in
Anywhere
other
else?
cities.
What do you own?
I own a bunch of residential properties,
Like 3 families, bigger, or?
Everett, Malden, and in the North End where I live. also.
Apartment buildings?
Yes, all apartment buildings, all residential.
How big are those other properties? How many units?
They range from 2 families, 3 families, all the way up to 13 families. And I own the building right next door. So this application is for 890 Broadway. I own the building next door at 880 Broadway.
That's why I inspected a couple of years ago.
Okay,
And that's the one that Michael inspected.
perfect. Other questions?
No?
And is this property already active? Does
Yes, it
already-
is.
And are all of the rooms full at this time?
Yes, it is. It's been a rooming house for 60 years.
You're not displacing anybody?
Not at this time, but once I have ownership, I will examine what's in there and.
What about for
And
renovation?
we've also, we have a history with Collaborativa, La Collaborativa in the city of Chelsea. Not only just now, but we have a relationship with them over the past several years that we would give them apartments for discount rates. And we've even would donate food from the sausage company that we own at Fenway
So
Park.
some of your units in 880 Broadway were rented by La Collaborativa?
When we worked with La Collaborativa, we pretty much gave them properties that were available that I believe were in Malden. Is that correct? Yes, so we helped them with our Malden properties.
You deal with
But
Malden
once we
families?
obtained this property, we've already been in touch with them. And when these rooms come available, they will have first crack at a discount rate.
The notice that went out stated that you had to notify all of your abutters, and we needed certified return receipts, and the licensing department has not received anything. Do you have
We
that?
have them with us right here.
Perfect.
What about Malden Families? You don't work with them?
Pardon me?
Malden Families?
We don't deal with Malden families. But maybe we'll look into it.
I think Collaborativa does.
I have a question.
Yes,
So you
Enya.
said your building's been a rooming house for 60 years?
Yes.
Can you tell me where the building is? I can picture that. Is
Do you know
that
where the
corner
convenience,
of
do you know where the
Webster?
convenience store is?
Yes.
It's called Sully's Convenience.
Oh, okay. So you rent the second floor, right?
Okay, so there's a convenience store on the first floor, and then upstairs is the rooming house, which has been for 60 years.
And are you planning on doing any sort of improvements or anything to it?
Absolutely, positively. And it should be easy for me to manage since I own the property next door. I mean, we're there anyway. You know, and I have full-time maintenance people that work for me. Yeah, we're gonna fix it up.
And so you said you were in the one next door
I was in
recently.
880 Broadway, yeah.
You haven't been in this property
My
recently?
inspectors go every year. It passes inspection. I don't know what shape it is. But he didn't own it at the time. Well, he still doesn't own it.
Okay. And also this rooming house that I'm purchasing has to have inspections every year.
Yeah, we go once a year. to
They
it.
go once a year, so it's not like it's a property that hasn't been looked at from the city. Annually, I guess there are inspections that are mandatory.
Sergeant Chung, any questions or concerns from the police department?
Not really. We haven't had much calls there in a very long while. When did you take over, you said?
Pardon me?
When did you take over?
We have a tentative date for closing on the 24th, I believe,
That is the date in your paperwork.
Okay.
of June, and that's of June.
Yeah, we haven't had, I looked up the call logs for 890 Broadway, which is connected to the store. Is that correct?
Pardon me?
Yeah, but he doesn't own that yet, but yeah. that's
I
about.
looked up the record for 890 Broadway, which is connected to the store, is that correct? Is that
Yes.
gonna be a part of
Yes.
your ownership too?
Yes, it's
Okay.
all one building. Convenience store on the bottom, rooms upstairs.
Yep, okay.
It's right on the corner of Webster Ave and Broadway. And again, I own the building next door, which is a 10-unit brick building. We're there anyway, so we'll keep a close eye on it.
Yeah, I would just remind your tenants that if there's an emergency and we need access, someone's gonna have to give us access,
Absolutely,
all right?
positive.
In the past, there were some certain characters that were harboring certain individuals of the night, and that we had a hard time getting through the door.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay, we'll keep an eye on it.
thank you.
Anything else, Sergeant?
Nothing else. Thank you.
Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak on this matter? Seeing no one. Any other questions, comments from my fellow commissioners? No?
Yeah, I
Yes.
have a question. At that corner store, is there a hangout for like drug addicts or people who drink a lot, drunks?
At the store?
Yeah, right around, is this in the
Well,
building?
I
is
mean,
that
there
right?
is a liquor store right across the street,
They don't
which is
sell
a
liquor there?
which is a totally separate piece of property. That has nothing to do with 890 Broadway. And I haven't noticed anything, and we have cameras, and we're gonna, once we get in there, we're gonna beef up the security cameras and stuff like that.
I haven't noticed either. There's no one like that.
Are all your cameras working?
Never a problem? Yeah, the owner is here, the owner's son, and he's been managing the place for many years. Any problems with that? Okay.
I apologize, we can't hear you. If you could please step up to the microphone.
David Sullivan.
Oops, sorry. I put a lockbox on the side so the police and fire can get in, because we had one issue and the fire couldn't get in. So there's a lockbox that all the emergency crews have to get inside.
And he said that your name is David Sullivan?
Yeah,
And you are the current owner?
My dad is. He
Okay.
lives in Florida, so I'm just here.
Appreciate,
courtesy. So I've been running it for, I think, over 3 years now. So, yeah.
appreciate that. Thank
Thank
you. Anything else? Can I get a motion to approve the application?
Yes, a motion to approve the application.
And can we get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Good luck.
Thank you very much.
Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Good luck.
We are going to go out of order, and we're going to bounce down to item number 4 on the agenda this evening, which is actually, do I need to get a motion to do that? No? Okay, perfect. It is a public hearing to consider a special alcoholic beverage license off-premise beer garden, application for Bear Moose Theater Zone, Inc., Apollinaire Theater, and a one-day amusement and entertainment license application for August 2nd to 3rd, August 9th to 10th, August 16th to 17th for the Apollinaire Theater in Port Park at 99 Marginal Street in Chelsea, Mass.
Andrew Gilman, new owner of Bear Moose.
Allison McCarthy. I'm with Apollinaire Theater Company.
Thank you both for joining us this evening. If my memory serves, this is at least the second year
And,
of-
yeah, more
of
than that,
this,
right?
If
Yeah.
not,
You guys are here every year, right?
because
Yeah.
I feel like we've done this a bit, but
Yes.
sometimes that
So
starts.
we were downtown the past few years, and now we are back at Port Park.
Wonderful. One of the questions that I had is the stated hours. Do those align with the same hours that we've been doing for the last few years?
Yeah, as I looked back last year, same hours that we had last year. So, yep.
Thank you. Questions from my fellow commissioners?
No, it's great, it's run well, like we go. It's a great summer thing.
I know I haven't heard anything negative about it in my experience in the community. I unfortunately haven't had the chance to get over there yet. Hopefully this year I can make that happen. Sergeant Chung, any questions or concerns from the police department?
With it, I believe I already notated this on the Clear Forms application, but with it serving alcohol, you're gonna need to hire a police detail.
Yes, I believe we are working with the city for
Okay.
previous years. We've done that.
Yep, perfect. Also, are you guys checking IDs and then putting bracelets on? Is that how you're determining who's 21 plus?
So, we use a stamp.
Okay. Okay, all right, perfect. Thank you.
Anything else from the police department?
All set, ma'am.
Thank you. Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak on this matter? Seeing no one, can I get a motion to approve the special alcoholic beverage license and one-day amusement and entertainment license?
Motion to approve?
And a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda this evening, we have a public hearing to consider a mobile food operation application from Bees and Thank You LC at a private property lot located at 272nd Street, Chelsea, Mass.
Hello, my name is Ryan Margulis, the owner of Bees and Thank You. Yeah, hello.
Hello, thank you for coming before us. Can you tell us a little bit about what it is you are looking to do?
Sure. So I work there part-time, and we are licensed in Boston already. And what I would like to do is 1 to 2 times a month, probably on Fridays, which I can notify beforehand when we have the dates, just open up for a promotional party for attendees.
And this promotional party, is it for Trinity Naturals, or is it?
Yes, it's for Trinity Naturals, yes. So it would be, for example, the first 50 people who come during those hours will get free food, who go to the store.
Initial questions from my fellow commissioners.
Quick, I see this report from the Salisbury Health Department. What does he mean were you there when they wrote that report?
No, I don't think so.
He wrote service area floor to be done at a later date. You know what that means?
I think what you are referencing is that for the commissary itself?
Oh, not for your, okay.
No, I think that what you might be referencing is for the commissary location, not our actual truck.
Is it out of Salisbury? Is that where it is?
Yeah.
Okay.
One of our commissaries is Salisbury, yeah.
All right,
Yeah. But that is fixed.
excellent. Which parking lot? The front one? There's 2 parking lots.
Yes, it would be the side, front side, not the
Like,
back.
so closer to Everett or a little further away from?
Closer to the train. Does that help?
I don't know where the train.
So if you're coming in, it's on the right side. We would be at that parking lot.
So the building's on the right, it's after the building?
If it's on the right, it's before the building.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha, all right, between you and the window place?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Other questions, Mike?
No, everything else is on?
Ennio, any questions?
I've been thinking about all the licenses we have been approving, and I want to start asking everyone who comes for a license to make sure they clean up after,
Oh, yeah.
because in Chelsea we do business, all kind of business, like restaurants and bars and everything, but no one comes out in front and clean up.
Yeah, no,
And I wish you can do that
of
if we
course.
approve your license.
We're very clean, and we already have approval to use their trash receptacles, so we can use their dumpsters, so it's easy to remove the trash.
That's all I want to say.
Thank you, Ennio. Any questions or concerns from the police department?
Are you gonna, is your driver still gonna be Nicholas?
Yes.
Okay. Corey was completed, minimal driving record, nothing to be concerned of. In regards to your food truck. First of all, great name.
Thank you. We love the bees.
Second of all, do you guys have set times yet?
Right now, it's going to be 3 to 6 p.m.
3 p.m. to 6 p.m.?
Yeah.
So it won't go to the end,
No,
which is 9 p.m. for
No.
Trinity Naturals? Okay.
no.
All right. Even though it's not going till late, just, I mention this every time, but due to the safety of pedestrians, just make sure it's well lit.
Okay.
Okay.
Copy.
Thank you. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak on this matter? Seeing no one. Only other question that I would have is if the group would consider participating in our Chelsea Day event
And when is
coming
that?
up in September. It is the 21st.
21st, maybe.
So
we
this
do,
is our
it's a
big-
busy day.
This is our big 400th anniversary of the city.
Okay.
So it would be wonderful to have somebody
Yeah.
that is coming into the community participate in that event.
I can certainly put it on the calendar. I do know I have. We do a music festival in the Berkshires that weekend, and we might be doing a fundraiser. So if we're free, though, yes. But what I will say is that I think I would need a new permit to do that. So that's something that I'm hoping. No,
What do you need I mean, this is the woman who can tell you
No,
what you would
no.
need.
You're getting a full year one.
I thought it was only for Trinity location. I thought that's
No,
how.
that's to park it.
To park it.
Yeah, you can't do it out on the street.
But I could do
But-
this event for you guys.
But for this event, since
Okay.
it's gonna be city sponsored.
Oh, okay, so city-sponsored events I could still do without additional permit. Okay, cool.
She's the one that can tell you, so.
Yeah, okay, okay.
So if you end up
If I'm free,
available,
okay.
it's a really special day in the community, so it would be a
Cool.
great way for you to
Cool.
just kind of help continue
Sure.
that ongoing relationship
Sure.
in the community.
Of course.
Other questions or concerns? Can we get a motion to approve the mobile food operation application for Bees and Thank You LC?
Make a motion to approve.
And a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you very
Awesome.
much.
Thank
Good
you all
luck.
very much.
Next on the agenda, we have our annual renewals of our taxi cab licenses. Can I get a motion to approve all completed taxi cab licenses?
Motion.
And a second?
Second.
All in favor? Thank you. And then we also are looking to do the annual renewals for our tobacco licenses. If we could get a motion to approve all completed tobacco licenses for the year's renewals.
Make a motion to approve.
And a second?
Second.
All in favor? Thank you very much. That brings us back to what we had skipped over earlier this evening. I know that we had tried to postpone things a little bit to get representation, the ability to be here. Next on the agenda this evening, we have what was number 2 on the agenda, and that is the disciplinary public hearing to consider revoking, suspending, or modifying the all kinds of alcohol beverages on-premise consumption license for Section 2.09B, staff drinking, right on time, staff drinking on duty, and an amusement and entertainment license for 2.11H. Noise should not be heard outside the premises of Aguilar Corp. DBA Bar La Cueva at 802 Broadway in Chelsea, Mass.
Thank you for the courtesy of pushing us toward the end of the agenda. Good evening, members of the commission, Madam Chairman. Attorney Jeffrey Rosario Turco with my client Manny from Bar La Cueva. Introduce yourself, please.
My name is Manny Aguilar.
Thank you for coming. You legitimately perfect timing. We moved you to the end and we were there.
I appreciate it.
So appreciate you coming before us. I know that this was briefly brought up at our meeting last month. So I would like to start with the police department to just run through the violations and the incident that led to all of this.
Yep. So this was a situation and a case that Officer Joe Santiago was working on. It started on April 5th at approximately 8:45 p.m. The officer, while responding in the area for a separate unrelated call, drove past 802 Broadway, La Cueva Bar. His attention was drawn to the loud music coming from the bar, so he pulled over and entered the establishment. While speaking to the security officer at the establishment, he saw the lights spinning around coming from inside the bar. As he entered, he observed more lights spinning and several people dancing. He approached the manager, Mr. Manuel Aguilar. He advised him that there was loud music coming from inside the bar that could be heard from the outside, and mentioned the lights, and advised him that people aren't allowed to dance based off of his license. Manuel at the time was near the DJ on his cell phone. When he was approached, that's when Manuel stated that he wasn't aware dancing was not allowed in the bar. He was reminded by Officer Santiago that a recent inspection of the bar was conducted, and that was also when Officer Santiago reiterated and advised him that dancing and disco lights are not permitted in the bar during a prior inspection due to the not having the necessary license. The incident was documented, and he requested a copy of the security video, which was provided. The following day, which is on April 6th, around the morning time, Officer Santiago tried to arrange to meet with Manuel to get the copy of the security footage. It wasn't ready then. The security footage was advised from Manuel to Officer Santiago that it wouldn't be ready until the following Monday, April 8th. Finally received a copy of the security footage at approximately 9:50 p.m. on April 8th. He goes through what is observed in the security footage around 8:42 on the security footage, which we have here. Lights, loud music, as well as a female bartender is dancing with a male party wearing a white shirt in front of the manager, Manuel Aguilar. At around 8:45, the female server is seen dancing with the male party wearing blue in front of the manager, another male party. At 8:47, the officer is seen then walking into the bar, observing the female server dancing with the male party and the bartender taking shots of the alcoholic beverage. That's when the officer is seen on video speaking to the manager about the loud noise and the disco lights as well. At 8:56, the female bartender takes another shot with the male at the end of the bar. At 9:06 p.m., the bartender takes another shot with the male wearing the white shirt. This was all captured on their security footage labeled Channel 2. And we listed the rules and regulations that we observed. It was section 2.08 and 2.09, Bravo, page 18, which is a prohibition of staff drinking alcohol while on duty. No staff person of a licensee shall drink alcohol, beer, or wine while on duty. Staff persons includes all wait staff, bartenders, barbacks, cook, chefs, owner, licensee, if working, and security personnel or any other employee. It also violates Chapter 2.11, entertainment at premises which serve food or beverages to be consumed on the premises page, 19-20, Section B and C. Section B says, "No entertainment at the licensed premises may be conducted in a manner such that the noise from the entertainment can be heard outside the boundaries of the licensed premises." Section C states, "No dancing by patrons is permitted except upon proper licensing pursuant to general laws, Chapter 140, Section 183 Alpha, and confined to a particular dance floor area which has been approved by the commission and which is not inconsistent with the entertainment license requirements." And that is pretty much the statement of facts. The report was then forwarded to the licensing commission.
Thank you very much, Sergeant Chung. I know that we watched the video last time. It does look like we have it, if anything needs to be referenced. I do clearly remember watching said video, so I don't know that I necessarily need to see everything again. The kind of concerns that we have there is we've talked about these things before, and this was discussed last summer when we changed the hours. I know that we had a conversation that it had been a little while since the other incidents, but those other incidents the reason there had been such a large amount of time between when we had prior incidents and when you were coming before us to request the change in hours last July was because you were closed from COVID. So it hadn't been a large span of time. I think at that time we were maybe 9-10 months reopened. So while it was great that nothing had happened in that 9 or 10 months of being reopened, it is concerning to see that we're starting to not follow the rules again, or potentially not following the rules regularly and we just haven't seen it. Because obviously we only know when the rules are broken when something like this is brought to our attention. So I am personally concerned that this is an establishment that is not following the rules. And these are pretty basic rules. My biggest concern in this one is having an employee clearly drinking behind the bar while management is there, not trying to hide it at all, which tells me she does this. Because if this is something that the employees know they're not supposed to do, they are hiding that. In the only time in that video that we watched last month that it looked like there was any hesitation was when the police officer, Officer Santiago, had stepped outside and he was outside speaking with, I believe, yourself, sir. And she threw one back real quick, trying to make sure that she wasn't caught at that time. But the other two shots, there was no hesitation, very clear.
That's fine.
And that tells me it's allowed, which is concerning because not only is your bartender in the wrong there, but the management of the establishment is wrong. So that's a big concern on my end. Obviously, not complying with entertainment license also matters. We have these licenses for a reason, being in compliance, following those rules. It is a little concerning to hear that there was a little back and forth of, I didn't know these were the rules, because I know we talk about the lack of dancing being permitted in our licensed establishment in this city all the time. So to use that and to see that the officer stated that he remembers having this conversation recently as well. I mean, obviously there we're in a bit of a he said. I'm like, that just doesn't sound right. Yeah. But I know that we've addressed this on a regular basis, so to state that you didn't know this is one of our city's rules, I don't believe. So I find that a little concerning. I will open it up to my fellow commissioners for questions, comments, concerns.
I think it's clear what we saw. Is there any explanation?
Yeah, I mean, a couple of things. One is, I agree with you completely on the taking the shots. I talked to my client. That bartender was fired at the end of the shift. No longer works there. It was made crystal clear. He was there as the owner as well. As Officer Santiago said, he was off. As Officer Santiago said, he was off talking to the DJ at the time, so he didn't witness it. He's had a discussion with the manager to make it clear it's not allowed, but the employees all understand it's not allowed because they fired the bartender that did the offending. So I think that aggressive, quick response firing her at the end of the shift, I think is a sign that they recognize. And that was before Officer Santiago, so he came in, he hadn't seen the video at the time, so she was fired before it even became an issue with the city. He came in for the noise violation. He didn't get the video till I think it was 3 days later. And so there was nothing written up yet. I don't know if he saw it visually or if he only saw it in the video. I don't remember what he said in his report. But the fact that she was fired that night, I hope is a sign that he recognizes this is a serious matter. With respect to the lighting, the rotating lighting, if you remember, I think at the last meeting there was some discussion, well, first of all, the lights are part of the DJ setup. And so there was a question or some discussion at the last meeting about, well, if they were stationary lights versus rotating lights, whether it would be allowed, and it's not quite clear in your ordinances or in your regulations about that. And so I would just say that he does have approval for a DJ. The DJ, as part of their setup, had the lights. If the commission interprets its rules to say you can have straight lights as opposed to swirling lights, then he'll tell the DJ, make it crystal clear that, hey, you have to figure out a way to either shut the lights off or make them stationary. I'm assuming it's just a switch. But I do think Officer Santiago, to his credit, said it was uncertain as to what, I don't want to put words in his mouth, but I think there was some uncertainty about what your rules and regulations require. And so with regard to the dancing, we clearly saw 2 staff members were, I don't know if they were friends or what, but it's been made crystal clear to them it's not allowed. He's not looking to hide anything. He knows he has video that can be requested at any time, and he's made it clear to the staff, hey, look, this is his investment, this is his livelihood. They're not going to ruin it by violating the rules. I do raise some concern about the sound issue, because we were here originally when we came and we asked for your, sort of giving him a chance to expand his license, and the commission took a leap of faith with him. And we did address the neighbors' concerns, the woman on Eleanor Street. We turned the speakers, and as I pointed out at the last meeting, it wasn't residents calling to complain about noise. It was an officer driving along Broadway. Frankly, I think there's a problem with the ordinance that says there can't be any noise emanating from outside the establishment if you hold an entertainment license, because there's no objective standard as to what that is. If the neighbors aren't complaining, and I know we sort of talked a little bit about, well, the police officer complained, but we don't even know what the noise level was. Is if I'm talking to my client at the door and the door's open and some music comes outside, is that a violation? I don't know if we have the body-worn camera footage that shows it, but one thing I think was pretty telling about the level of noise in the establishment is one of the videos that was shown to us last week where you could see the offending dancing. I did notice there were 4 people sitting at a table. It was a high-top table, and they were clearly talking, but none of them were leaning forward, leaning into the conversation to have a discussion. And I think that if 4 people are sitting at a restaurant and the music is so loud that it's emanating outside the front of the business, across those people, so loud that a police officer stops on Broadway to then go and investigate, I'm trying to reconcile the fact that 4 people could have a discussion at normal talking level. And so I don't know if it's because there's heightened.
So I will have to stop you there. You don't know if it was normal talking level, just
Yeah, I was
because they
gonna
weren't
say,
leaning forward doesn't, I mean, I can sit like this and I can yell.
Right.
Without
Yeah.
looking like I'm yelling, and I can elevate my voice as needed.
Right.
So
That was my entire 20s, sitting at a table, talking to people with really loud music, so
So
yeah.
that doesn't really
No.
tell me anything in terms of how loud that actually was.
Right, but I guess what I'm saying is, that my client was very attentive, or has been trying to be attentive to the concerns of the neighbors.
And what is that,
Shrunk the
I'm
speak-
curious about what that means, because, so Falcon was here, and Nocturna is now the new name, and I felt he was really intentional. They put soundproofing doors in. I mean, they really did a lot to make sure the neighbors did not hear the music anymore coming out of the bar. So I'm curious, when you say you've addressed the music situation, A, we'll hear from the public, but B, what does that even mean, that you've addressed the music situation?
Well,
with
2
the
things. One is what we specifically said we would do is there were some oversized speakers. It was talked about shrinking, getting smaller speakers. My understanding is there are 2 smaller speakers have been replaced, larger speakers, to sort of reduce the noise. But secondly, the speakers were turned. If you remember, there was talk about the back door was open too much, and that was causing some of the noise to go out the back, even though it is properly sort of, I don't know if it's soundproofing, but when the door is closed, it's not a problem. It's when people go out the back. And so that door has been a concerted effort to make sure people don't use that door, and the speakers have also been turned to face towards the front of the establishment as opposed to the back, so as to be cognizant of the fact that Broadway obviously is a commercial street traffic versus the residential street that directly abuts. And so that's what's been done to try to address that, because he is trying to be respectful. You know, the woman behind him in particular is, I don't know if you can say elderly today, a seasoned citizen, and so he's trying to be cognizant of her concern. She wasn't well enough to be here. A couple of meetings ago, her neighbor came down here and expressed the concerns on her behalf, and he took them to heart. He's been there for, I think, 18 years now at this establishment, so I think in the whole scheme of his relationship with the city of Chelsea, he's been a fairly good neighbor. Obviously, it's unfortunate that this happened here. He does regret it, and he promises and makes a commitment, and you can hear it directly from him, that he makes a commitment to the commission to do better at it and to make sure that this doesn't happen again.
Before we have any additional questions, Attorney Turco, can I just ask you to stipulate to the authenticity of the videos and allow the police records and videos that we watched at our meeting last month to be admitted as exhibits?
So stipulated.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Those are, the videos we're talking about, solely the ones that he turned over to the City of Chelsea Police. There's no other videos, correct?
Correct. Yes, just what we watched at our last meeting.
Thank you.
And the police reports that was.
Of course, yep. I wasn't sure if there were body-worn camera or something, the terror tapes from the police cruiser. Okay.
No. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sergeant Chung, anything else from you before I go to the public?
Nothing else.
Thank you. Yes.
Offer an opportunity to ask questions. Just ask the licensee if they would like to ask questions.
Of course. Do you have any questions that you would like to ask?
No, I'm comfortable with the officer's recitation of what's in the report and that it's accurate. That what's written in the report is accurate, not necessarily I'm not conceding them, but I'm conceding what the officer wrote.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Good, okay. If there is anyone from the public that would like to speak on this matter, I would ask you to step up now.
Hello, my name is Sarah Neville, and I live at 40 Eleanor Street. So I live 2 doors down from La Cueva, and I like a good drink and a good margarita and music and everything, but I don't really, and I hate to come in negative because I know that you've given me your phone number and you've tried to be good and everything. But I just don't really think that they're a good neighbor to the neighborhood, and I'm here because I'm someone who's really comfortable coming to city meetings and talking up here, but I'm here really because I've talked to a lot of the neighbors on the block who are less comfortable coming to city meetings, who can't because they're elderly or because they have lots of little kids, etc., but who have serious concerns with the bar. I think that, hearing Officer Chung's report tonight, I think it's pretty clearly a pattern of behavior. Over the years, the noise level has always been the same. You can always hear the noise outside. I actually didn't even know until tonight that you weren't supposed to be able to hear the noise outside the building. Otherwise, maybe I would have made a report. I didn't know that you weren't supposed to have lights. I could always see the lights. And yeah, so I asked one of my neighbors if, when she was complaining to me about the bar, I said, do you want to say something at the meeting? And she said, well, only if I can be anonymous. So I said, okay, you can give it to me and I'll read it for you. And she wrote, I have lived here as a neighbor to this bar for just over a year. Since I have lived here, I feel that La Cueva attracts a negative attraction. I've seen people coming out of La Cueva, tucking away and doing drugs. Fights have occurred outside, and there was a stabbing outside that had stimulated from inside the bar. Men have left the bar drunk, and before getting into their vehicle to drunk drive, they have come into my walkway and urinate as if it is a public restroom. These are just some of the things I've witnessed, and I'm sure there have been other instances that have occurred that I have not been a witness to. With the nice weather approaching, I think things will get worse. If the permit to stay open later gets approved, I feel the neighborhood will get worse than it already is. The past month, I've heard music on past midnight, so I feel the permit will be violated if allowed to stay open with no music. And, about this issue about like calling the police and neighbors showing up to share their opinion. I mean, there's another neighbor who I asked, what about your feelings? And they're just like, we stopped calling the police years ago because, nothing ever changed. And I spoke to another neighbor who said, well, La Cueva is a lot better than the bar that used to be there before. So, I mean, maybe people are just kind of used to, like me, are just used to it being the way it is. But I think with kind of this kind of egregious violations, it's a chance to actually put down some enforcement and make some changes that could hopefully lead to, an establishment that would be a better neighbor to the neighborhood coming in. There was something else I was going to say. Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah.
Thank you. Other questions from my fellow commissioners or comments?
May I, just for the record, say,
Yes.
I didn't want to interrupt, but I do object to taking anonymous testimony. This is a public hearing. If people want to submit letters in writing, emails to the commission, but to talk about somebody to submit an anonymous...
She did submit an email to the commission.
Okay, but I think then that's a public record, so it's not anonymous. I think we're entitled to, I can ask for that
Sure.
after. But I just think to say, somebody said, I moved in a year ago, this place has been there for 18 years. The fact of the matter is it's not what you heard described there, it's not backed up by police reports, it's not backed up by your commission records that suggest, I represented at one point, still do, and be coming with you on a transfer application for Fanny's Place. And that's a place, remember, I think Mr. McIntyre might have been on the commission at the time. That's a place where there was an issue about people urinating in the alley and the walk. And the commission's been very aggressive with dealing with that, and the police enforcement has been very aggressive. But the record belies that just isn't correct. And so I think that if you look at the totality of 18 years of his record on the site, I think he should be judged on that. And again, he acknowledges that there were mistakes made here. That's why he took the prompt and aggressive action there. But
I would agree that unfortunately if something is anonymous, it only has so much weight because anything can be said. I can tell you as a resident of the city for 11 years, I have heard a lot of negative things about that bar. I won't go to that bar because of all of the negative things that I hear. So the fact that that is the word in the community, and as a resident for the last 11 years, I've only been here for 11 years. There's a lot of people that have been here longer. But I know a large amount of folks in our community, and this isn't the only bar that this is a comment about, but this is one of the bars in our community that I regularly am warned that it's not a place to go. So I find it concerning when we have issues like this that come before us, because as somebody that has run licensed establishments for over 20 years, these incidents, this is what was caught. Generally, something like this is a habit that got caught that one time. Obviously, you don't have, there's no record. We didn't go back and ask you for cameras from every single day and then go back and look at all of that so we can then sit and show, oh look, every single day they're doing shots behind the bar. But for anybody that has been around the restaurant business, that's what that showed. That showed that this is normal behavior, and with the owner there while it's taking place, you telling me that you fired the bartender's not the problem. Right. The problem is the management and the owner who is not enforcing the rules and proper liquor service. That's a huge thing. If the owner and manager hadn't been there, I might be a little less upset about it, because you could have a bartender that's just breaking the rules and not doing anything, but when you have a manager that's just hanging out in there while multiple violations are taking place and your bartenders are openly drinking, there's ways that you can tell when you're at an establishment that they're not supposed to do it, because there's ways that they try to mask it and they try to hide it. That was not happening in this case. So my concern is in the ownership and the management, not that particular bartender. And that tells me we fired that bartender so we could sit at this meeting and say we fired that bartender. And so, look, we did the right thing, but you didn't do the right thing because you did not follow the rules of your license. And anybody that has a liquor license and has gone through the process know that the staff can't drink. It's a very basic rule. So to me, firing the bartender doesn't
solve the problem.
But if I could, just one comment on that is, if we fired the bartender after Officer Santiago wrote his report and we got the report saying there was, and we turned over the video, I would agree with you that it's hard to sort of.
But he knew that the video was getting turned over.
Yeah, and the
he
report
knew
was being
that the
written.
video showed
Yeah.
that there was drinking.
Well, I don't know if I don't remember what time he asked for the video, if he asked for it that night or if he asked for it the next day. But,
No, he asked for it that same night.
all right, that's what I'm asking. I don't know.
Then he tried to connect with him the following day, but the video wasn't available yet.
Yeah, he got it
Like-
3 days later.
Truly, firing the bartender that night, that's trying to get all your ducks in a row so you can stand at this meeting and say that you did the right thing. Because you know that there's a violation on that footage.
I clearly won't convince you otherwise, so, I mean, it's, but again, I would say you have an establishment owner vested in the city for 18 years, and in the scheme of 18 years, there's been a couple of violations, albeit not appropriate, no violations okay, but I think, he should be judged on his full entire 18-year record here in the city of Chelsea, and, and his record is pretty clean, despite the public
I would
perception.
disagree with that wholeheartedly,
Okay.
because an establishment that has a clean record doesn't come before the licensing commission for violations like this. I have run establishments for many years. I ran one establishment for 16 years. Never had to go before a licensing board. You shouldn't have to. That means you're not doing your job. An incident, okay, stuff happens. But to have multiple things, if you come before us for something like this and there's a disciplinary, you should be cleaning up your act moving forward, because you know that you're going to get in trouble if this happens again. So we will sustain the objection to keeping the anonymous letter in the record.
Thank you.
But when it comes to saying that that's a clean record, this is not a clean record in my eyes. Places should not be coming before a licensing board in any community multiple times for disciplinary actions. It's one thing to come before us and ask for changes to your hours and your amusement and things like that, or to have a random incident that happened and then nothing again. But to continue to see this tells me this is a continued problem that periodically gets flagged. That's the only reason that this is as short a report as it is because the police haven't been there catching more things, or other citizens haven't reported these things to us. Because I might hear about this stuff in the community, but I can't do anything about that until it gets reported. So it's one of those kind of catch-22 where this is, the length of this docket is what it is because of the amount of times of being caught. And it's too long. Comments from my fellow commissioners?
Yeah, I have a question. Regarding the violations, or whatever we decide tonight, if I asked you, what would you do to make this better with the music, the loud music, with people urinating on the alleys. You stop drinking at the bar. Are you gonna correct this? This is just my opinion, and this is my question. Are you gonna try to do better on all this stuff?
Thank you for the question. I mean, I think the answer on the noise, one answer would be, frankly, I'll tell my client to go out and buy a decibel meter and tell him what the decibel meter is, what the decibel level you want, and I'll have him, much like a diabetic does, keep a 1-hour log. Go out to the back door and use the decibel meter. Go out to the front door and use the decibel meter. If it's above a certain threshold, most cities and towns, their ordinances have a decibel threshold, because saying 0, I don't think it's lawful. I don't think it'll be upheld in court. I think, having some, and I've dealt with this in my hometown, because I think I talked about this at Suffolk Downs. When they're playing that music, they direct the speakers towards Winthrop. And so I get calls morning, noon, and night from people, but when they're doing the concerts, saying you could feel the bass. So I'm calling Suffolk Downs, and of course, they don't want to turn them to Revere because they get more complaints than Boston.
If I could just ask that we stay on subject.
Yeah, but what I'm saying to you is, your question was, so that's something where we could go out, if the commission wanted to give us a number, we'll get a decibel thing, we'll keep track of it, and we'll voluntarily turn it over to the commission once a week, once a month, so you can look and say, hey, we think this is too loud, or no, we think this is okay.
I mean, we have lots of bars in Chelsea, and you're here for noise. There's an agenda, and there's one for noise. So everyone else has figured it out, and the ones that don't, we discipline, but everyone else has figured that out. So whatever the decibel thing you want, I don't care, but the fact that Sarah hears the music at night, and she has a child and a baby on the way, it's not okay.
Agreed. But
so figure it out.
Right, but that's why my client gave her a cell phone and said, listen, I'm working to do what you want.
It's not that big of a bar. The noise it's too small of a bar for loud noise. It shouldn't be that hard to manage.
It's supposed to be a bar, not a nightclub.
Yeah.
That's really what it comes down to.
But you saw the video. It clearly isn't a nightclub. There were 15 people in the place.
That just means it's not a successful nightclub.
The bar is small so that any music can be, it's going to be loud if it's, it's just a small bar. You don't need to have loud music. That's why you hear it outside, because it's so small. So again.
But I hear you, sir, and we certainly, will attempt to figure out something that, there's some people that just don't want the place there, and that's not going to happen. But if we can do something to be more, even more cognizant of the sound, then we'll have to do that.
Do I have thoughts from my fellow commissioners as to how they would like to discipline this matter? I have my opinions, but I will let you share yours first.
So we still have on the table the change of hours. It's still on there.
Well, there's a couple of things. So 2 months ago, we approved an extension of their liquor license. We didn't give them quite the full hours that they wanted, but we gave some extension. That happened 2 months ago. Last month, they came before us asking for a change of the hours for the amusement and entertainment license, which is number 3 on our agenda this evening, to match the liquor license that we had approved that extension. I think, well, I'll just give my opinion. Personally, I'm inclined to, at a minimum, roll back their hours back to what they were before, and a suspension of at least 3 days, looking at a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, for being in clear violation. And in making that ruling of rolling back that liquor license hours, I would have the entertainment license just stay the same as it had been. That would be my suggestion as to how I think we should move forward on this, because I don't think that we're learning any lessons. Thoughts from my fellow commissioners?
I'm fine with that.
I mean, you're hurting them with the rollback hours more than the suspension, so I think we pick one or the other.
I think we do both. I think this is a place that has been a continued issue, and it should be both. Because you're talking multiple violations. This isn't just coming before us for one thing either. It's not just the entertainment side of it that they broke the rules on, they broke the rules in terms of the drinking. Ennio, your thoughts?
I think that I agree with Mike. Maybe we'd roll back the hours that it was before. Maybe give him 1 day suspension. So we don't want to hurt a business.
No, but
I know that they've been doing some violations, but
we don't want to hurt businesses that follow the rules. If
I
a business
understand
does
that,
not
yeah.
follow the rules of our city, then there needs to be penalties for that, or people are just going to continue to break the rules. Because, it's a slap on the wrist every time that you come before us, and nothing happens. So they just take their chances
That's not
and
a
run
slap
it
on
again.
the- Rolling your hours rec isn't a slap on the wrist. That's a serious offense. It's, serious punishment. I agree with any, a day suspension and rolling back the hours.
What do we do for 2-on-2?
I didn't understand the question.
So we are kind of at a split on how we think discipline should happen.
Oh, I'm not, I can't tell the licensing
No.
commission.
No, so the question is, what if we are at an even split? How,
You gotta keep voting until you come to a decision. Or you could continue the hearing. Those are your options, but you need to come to some type of decision.
Why we do 2 days? Split the difference?
it's not their first time before us.
You're right. I guess we'll have to live with them. The real damage is the rolling back of hours. It's really the damage. So, yeah.
You would agree to
I would
a
agree
2-day
to-
suspension? Ennio?
Still said, roll back the hours and 1 day suspension, but hey, whatever the decision is from everybody.
Well, you're part of the decision, my friend.
Well, the majority, I can't win by myself. One vote doesn't go against you guys.
Anyway, I agree with you. I just, we gotta meet somewhere halfway. Or else I'm gonna get it,
I'm usually the nice one, so.
If you're,
You gonna
if
talk?
you're going to speak, I need you to step up to the microphone. Yes.
I think you guys have been generous in the past by extending their hours multiple times, even when these concerns were noted. So that's just my contribution to this discussion.
Thank you. This is where if this was their first time before us, then yes, I would do
wouldn't roll
I
back
would
their
do
hours
one.
the first time. There's no way.
I potentially would if it was multiple things like this. But in this case, we're looking at multiple things, and they've come before us numerous times. So I could agree to a 2-day suspension with the rollback of the hours, but I wouldn't be comfortable with less than that.
It's just not a hill I'm gonna die on. So like 2 is, I'm fine. And I agree. I mean, I was a bartender. Like when bartenders drink behind the bars because no one cares. So like, I think it's 100%. You can scapegoat the bartender that was fired, but the culture of the bar is what it is. And I say that coming from a bar where that was allowed and fine in DC, and I worked there for 5 years. So I'm very aware of the culture of a bar and what tone is set. So yeah.
Someone's gonna make a motion then.
I would just ask that in the motion, whatever it is, that the hours that you're looking to revert to are explained, and also the dates that this proposed suspension would be made for.
And does there need to be a certain amount of notice for the suspension?
Yes, because there's a 5-day appeal to the ABCC.
So it couldn't be immediate. It would have to be well into the future, but yeah.
Perfect. So what I would propose, if I can get a motion, bear with me 1 second, I'm just pulling up a calendar. If I can get a motion for a disciplinary action of rolling back the hours to what they had been prior to our meeting 2 months ago, in which case Sunday through Wednesday was permitted until 11 p.m., Thursday through Saturday was permitted until 12 a.m. And then in addition to that, a 2-day suspension, and I would propose that that takes place on Thursday, June 27th and Friday, June 28th.
And I would just ask that it be amended for everything to take effect on July 1st for the appeal period. So the change of hours would be in effect on July 1st or whenever, just to give enough time for an appeal.
So does that mean the dates that I proposed would,
No, your dates are fine.
Yeah.
But the dates for the change of hours wouldn't
You
be
want to
effective
move that?
until
Okay.
the future.
so the change of those hours would take place effective July 1st.
No, is this just for the liquor license?
The amusement and entertainment license should already be those hours.
Right, is there going to be any changes to those hours?
Haven't gotten to that, because that's a
Okay.
different piece, so let me work on this disciplinary piece first. Can I get a motion for that rollback?
Motion.
Effective July 1st, Sunday through Wednesday, closing at 11, Thursday through Saturday, closing at 12, and a 2-day suspension for Thursday, June 27th, and Friday, June 28th.
Motion.
And can I get a second? Was that a yes, Enya?
A second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. And the last item on the agenda was the continued public hearing to consider the change of hours of the amusement and entertainment license. So that currently, it is my understanding, goes to those hours that we're talking about rolling back the liquor license for. Do we want to keep those hours as is, or did you want to make changes to those hours?
Well, Madam Chairman, if I could, we would withdraw the petition because it would be inconsistent with, the whole point of that petition was because when it came 2 months ago.
I'm
I know,
not
but
talking
as-
about going later, I'm talking about
I know, but as the
adjusting
petitioner,
that one.
we're withdrawing the request before you.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Okay. So we made that ruling for the rollback of the hours effective July 1st, and the 2-day suspension, June 27th and June 28th. And with you withdrawing
26 and 27, right? Thursday, Friday, you
Thursday,
said?
Friday of June.
27, 28, okay.
I looked at the calendar.
Sorry.
And with that withdrawal of that amusement and entertainment, I believe that concludes the business before us this evening.
Correct. Thank you for the courtesy of putting us at the end. And if I could just clarify one thing for the record, because the last meeting I did misstate something, which I immediately corrected to Naomi. You remember there was an issue about the entertainment license or whether we checked dancing. And I said, I think Naomi actually helped me fill it out. We couldn't get, I just want to be clear, we couldn't get access to the form online.
Right.
I reached out to Naomi, she reached out to IT and had them fix that. So I just wanted, I corrected it to her personally, but I just wanted the commission to know that I did misstate it by accident. She helped us get access to the form, not actually fill it out. So
Thank you.
So that's publicly clarified.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you very much, appreciate it.
Thank you. Our next meeting Yes.
I just want to let you guys know, after the hearing we here last time, I went for dinner for a couple of places. You sure? Okay.
Thank you. Our next meeting is scheduled for July 11th, 2024. Meeting adjourned.